Hi there, friends. It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. It is Sunday, January 30th, and this is my organizational cleanup tip for today. It's a recording because I'm going to be doing some escape room fun with my family this afternoon. I didn't want to miss getting this out to you. So I think I showed you how to re-ink your ink pads, but something has recently come up, and it's been in the stamping news, so I thought I would share it with you. This is my Blackberry Bliss ink pad, and the same thing happened to my Mary Merlot, which you'll see something they have in common is the red tinge to them. So I'm going to open this up and show you. I don't use Blackberry Bliss very often, but you'll see that it appears to have these little crusty pieces on it, and in some cases the ink pads are kind of got a gold sheen on them. Now, I don't have that on any of mine, but it's happened and I've heard of it. So I'm going to show you a little repair job you can do before you throw the baby out with bathwater. So the first thing I do is take an old credit card or gift card, as this is an old one, and I gently but firmly try to move the ink away from the edges. I try to get as much as I can get up as possible. This just saves the amount of paper towel wipe I'm going to do. So on a scratch piece, I'm just going to wipe that off. And then I have a piece of a little baby wipe, just because this is kind of messy, and I'm going to use that just to wipe the gift card off, because sure as shooting, I'll use it on something else, right? Then you grab some paper towel, because this is dry. You could use a lint-free cloth. I've never really gotten that carried away with it, to be perfectly honest. And then with several layers, you're going to just press down. You want to make sure you have a re-inker handy to finish this project. But that's what happens when I press down. And then I'm going to fold it over and then go again on a light edge. Sorry, it's wiggling a little bit. It really doesn't wreck your ink pads. Nothing's wrong with your ink pad. It just means that sometimes you're going to want it to just look a little bit better. And this is just a way to help repair that. But it's not a broken ink pad. It does not need to be returned to Stampin' Up, and you don't need to replace it. You're going to be just fine. So I'm just trying to get as much of this Blackberry Bliss, which is a beautifully deep, rich color, off first. Then I'm going to take a look at what happens when I stamp with it. So I've got something that's more of a solid image. I just want to see how much ink I pulled off. Remember, when you're stamping, we tend to put the stamp in the middle of the ink pad, and we really need to move it around. So yeah, I can see that it's come up quite light, because Blackberry Bliss is a really dark color. So I'm going to just have another one go with my paper towel. Flip it around here like we do when we're cleaning, right? You keep using the new clean spot. Don't use a baby wipe on this process. Use something dry to pick it up. Go, another clean surface to work with, because you don't want to get this all over your hands, especially if you're using Cherry Cobbler or Blackberry Bliss. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is grab our ink pad, our ink refill. So here is Blackberry Bliss. See that? And this ink pad is Blackberry Bliss. You don't want to make the mistake of grabbing the wrong one, because they can kind of look the same. Don't worry about this mess around here that I've created. I can fix that up. Now we're going to re-ink it. One thing you can do as an interim step, if it's particularly bad, and especially if you have that goldish tinge on it, you can actually run the ink pad through your tap. I would recommend, the tub in your laundry tub, where you don't care what it looks like, not in a really nice ceramic sink. Just looking for that card again. And you can empty even more off if you like. I don't think mine's that bad. I'm going to be good with this little repair job here. But that is another thing you can do. And I still got those little bumpies on there, and I'm hesitant to touch them because I don't want to get ink all over my fingers, but that's fine. It's still going to work just fine. Okay, let's have a test run on how much ink I've put on there. So I'm going to ink it up, make sure that I've got some even coverage on there. And then on my scratch paper, because I'm using a photopolymer stamp, I'm also using a Stampin' mat underneath. You can also use a catalog. Look at the difference. I mean, holy, right? Big difference. So I've added a good amount of re-inker. I think I might add just a little more because I noticed it was still soaking it up in the center when I was working on it. That's why we use the credit card or the old gift card and move it around. I always like to cap these guys because if they spill over, they'll make a lovely little mess on my craft table. Here we go. And you'll see as you start moving it around on the four edges towards the middle that you will get a little line or a little bead of the re-inker in there. So I just wipe this off on my scratch paper like that. And then I'm going to clean it off with a baby wipe. I have one that's not too bad shape. I can get my fingers on again. So now my little gift card that I reuse is ready to reuse on another color, and I don't contaminate the colors. Now I'm going to just double check it one more time on my stamping because I want to make sure I didn't over re-ink it. That can happen because I want these white areas on this stamp to show through. There we go. Pretty good. It's even darker. Can you see that? Yeah, nice. Okay, so now I'm going to clean off this stamp and get it out of the way. And with some baby wipes, sorry for the crinkle crinkle sound, you can grab your ink pad and just with the edge of your finger, go along the one edge like that. And then I just kind of fold that over a bit, get a clean edge again. And then I go along the next edge carefully. I don't want to drop this on my table, although that wouldn't be the end of the world. Because this is a really, really, really dark color, you can smear the color a little bit. So, you know, depends how important getting this super clean is to you. It may or may not be that important. It's one I don't use very often, as I mentioned, so that's probably overdue for a clean. All right, so I've kind of got the edges around cleaned up. Like I said, it's a pink, bright color. It's going to bleed the color onto there, and it's probably going to stain it a little bit. I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to close my ink pad. So these are the new style. You'll notice I still have the little dots on it, but it's perfectly fine. When I go to flip it over, I just want to look to see there's no more ink stains sticking out. Sometimes the cases will end up stained beyond an ability to change it, to clean it, and that's okay. I'm sure somebody will come up with a perfect product to use. If you don't like baby wipes, just use water and a cloth. Or you don't want chemicals of any kind, absolutely, that works. And just one thing about cleaning up the backs, when you use a wipe, I usually use baby wipes to clean these. You can pull that black off of there, and sometimes it kind of messes up your ink pad back of the case there. I'm not overly concerned. There we go. And your ink pad is renewed and ready to go again. So the takeaway is make sure you always have a re-inker on hand. You're going to need it. And this is how you can use an old gift card to clean it up along with some paper towel and re-ink it. And at worst case scenario, you run it underneath the tap and re-ink it completely. I hope that's been helpful and that you will take a look at your ink pads and see if any of them need a little TLC. Have a great Sunday. Bye.